All right, let's talk more about this. With students returning to class in Atlanta on Monday, schools in the state have a new set of rules set by Governor Brian Kemp and Public Health Commissioner Kathleen Toomey. Under an order signed this week, public school teachers who test positive for COVID-19 no longer need to isolate before returning to the classroom as long as they are asymptomatic and wear a mask. Schools are also not required to do contact tracing. Here now to talk about it, the president of the Georgia Association of Educators, Lisa Morgan. Ms. Morgan, so good to see you. Well, what's your reaction to this new order?
Thank you for having me on, Frederica. My reaction is that this is the absolute wrong thing to do at the absolute worst time. We know that there are increasing cases in our children. There's increasing hospitalizations in our children. And this action shows a lack of regard for the health and safety of educators, students, and our families.
So what do you believe is behind Governor Brian Kemp's order to do this?
I believe this is an attempt to keep our schools open for face-to-face instruction. And as educators, no one wants to be in the classroom with our students more than us. We have said that all along during the pandemic, but it must be done in a health and safety way, in a healthy and safe way, with a priority on keeping us in the classroom by keeping us all healthy. As a kindergarten teacher, I can tell you that every little bug my students get, they share.
Right.
They share with their classmates, they share with the teachers, and we know that's what happens in our buildings. So we have to be extra vigilant in our classrooms and on our buses to try to mitigate the spread of this Omicron variant that is so much more infectious.
And with this new Georgia, state order, also what comes with it is the discretion of each school district. They still can independently make some decisions about what they're going to require from teachers, regardless of what the order says about, teachers being asymptomatic, testing positive, still being able to go into schools. Then what are you hearing from teachers? What are their frustrations about, the ongoing virus, the ongoing hospitalizations of children, and their desires to get in the classroom and teach kids, but at the same time being concerned about their safety?
I think frustration is the best word to use. With these new guidelines, schools will no longer be required to do the contact tracing, and we have school systems that have said they will not be doing contact tracing. So now an educator will not know if there is a positive case in their classroom. Parents will not know if there is a positive case in their child's classroom. So educators and parents will then be able to make informed decisions to ensure their child's health and safety.
I spoke with a member of Congress in the last hour who says he really advocates school districts being able to extend an option to families. If you're comfortable with your kid going to school in person, then you have that option. If you're not, that child can continue to do remote learning at home. Is that feasible? Would that be possible as you see it in school districts throughout Georgia, if that were an option?
We have some school districts that did allow that option, but we have other school districts that have simply said, no, face-to-face is the only option we are giving. Or on the other hand, we have districts that did allow that option that had deadlines for parents to choose that option, and those deadlines passed, many of them in December, and now we're seeing the tremendous surge, and they are not allowing parents to then switch.
Yeah, do you think it's a mistake that while that was exercised across the board, from coast to coast last year, in the first year and a half of this pandemic, but with the new year, that option is not being considered or even exercised? Is that a mistake, or do you believe it's time to return to that?
I believe that anything that we do that is not putting the priority on keeping students and educators and their families safe is a mistake. We should be using every tool we have in our toolbox to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 in our classrooms and in our school.
Do you believe it should be a requirement that teachers are vaccinated?
We do have one district here. We have two districts actually here in Georgia that have required their employees to be vaccinated. We believe that vaccination is one of the best tools we have, and that we all should be using that tool from our toolbox, along with masks. We think masks are, at the minimum, should be the requirement in all of our educational sites, our school buses, our cafeterias when our children aren't eating, and especially in our classrooms.
Lisa Morgan, thank you so much for being with us with the Georgia Association of Educators.
Thank you.